Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the Dare County Board of Commissioners November the 16th board meeting to order. And at this time, I'd like to read an invocation from Father John Hanley. Let us pause and call to mind that God, bidden or not, is always present and active in our midst. All-powerful and ever-living God, you have created all things. All times and seasons obey your laws. You make us stewards of creation and have called us in a special way to be stewards of the people and resources of Dare County. We ask you to bless this meeting and all who take part in it. May our discussions be honest and thorough, our interactions civil and respectful, and our decisions be mindful not only of the particular needs of those who look to us for their interest, but in an even more impactful way for the greater and greatest good of all. Bless those elected and appointed to serve this county, our state, and our country. Be present now in our meeting this evening. We ask this in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
May we stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we get started, I would just like to ask everyone if they would, Commissioner Ross has his excused absence this evening. I'd ask that you would keep him and his wife, Charlotte, in your thoughts and prayers. She's hospitaled in Virginia Beach area. So if you will keep both of them in your thoughts and prayers, it'd be greatly appreciated. County Manager?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Item 1 on the agenda is the chairman's opening remarks.
Thank you, County Manager. Normally, I have about 4 or 5 items to go over under Chairman's comments, and I'd like to take this opportunity this evening to address one specific issue, and that's COVID-19. I went to earlier this afternoon to our health department after speaking with our health department director, Dr. Davies, and asked her if I could come over and speak with the folks. And she said, absolutely. And I had the fortune to meet with Miss Debbie Dutton and her staff just to go over there and thank them on behalf of this board. I left them, I said, there's 2 things I want to share with you this afternoon. One is I just simply wanted to thank them for all the work that they've done since March, especially dealing with COVID-19. And the second thing I wanted to leave them with is the fact that we appreciate them. Dare County Health and Human Services, Social Services Department is second to none in the state. We have multiple avenues and ways to reach out to our citizens of Dare. Dr. Davies does weekly videos. She does messages constantly. The data is all over our website. Information goes out. Even early on, The county spent money to make signs on the side of the road for the practicing the 3 W's. We made signs for businesses. They were distributed. I mean, we've gone the extra mile. Let me just tell you briefly, they have answered over 12,000 phone calls helping folks throughout the county. They make daily calls to the positive patients, daily calls to the positive patients to make sure they have what they need. Some who can't work, some who are not certainly earning a living, some who need food, some who need bills to be paid. There are ways that social services are helping those folks. Combination of 61 employees from the health department and social services are working the phones 7 days a week from 8 o'clock in the morning till 5:30 in the afternoon. Folks, these are professional people who care about their neighbors and who care about the citizens of Dare County, and they are going the extra mile. And I cannot say enough about our staff and our people at the health department and Dr. Davies and what she has been able to accomplish with what we've been dealing with since March. So I let them know on behalf of this board how much we thank them and how much we appreciate them. And they will continue to do this until we can get through this. I have some prepared remarks with respects to COVID-19 that I'd also like to make. I want to focus my comments on certainly the pandemic. Now, this is, as we all know, we're all getting a little tired of managing life as we know it in a much different way since the start of this pandemic. It's getting old. But it's so very important for all of us to focus on our known best practices. For those of you that are watching right now live, and for those of you who will certainly watch a little bit later on when you have the time, I'm reaching out to you. Just as our Health and Human Services Director, Dr. Davies, did this past Friday for a call to action. As Dr. Davies stated, we must address the growing number of new cases we are seeing in Dare County. COVID-19 remains a very contagious virus. Our cases are growing exponentially, as most of you certainly are aware, reading the numbers and going to our website. That Dare County Board of Commissioners, we're concerned that the worst of the pandemic still lies ahead of us. As we head closer to the holiday season, Thanksgiving next week, with more people gathering together and those gathering moving indoors, we will continue to see growing numbers of cases if we don't take personal action. Once again, Dr. Davies stated in less than 2 weeks, we've had 162 new positive cases in Dare County. 77% of these cases are local, 86% are symptomatic, and 75% acquired the virus by direct contact. 75% acquired the virus by direct contact. Our board strongly encourages anyone who's experienced symptoms to be tested, as well as anyone who may have come in contact with someone who has COVID-19. Testing is certainly widely available in Dare County. Just visit our website, www.darenc.com/COVID testing, for details on the testing locations. If you have questions about testing or the locations, once again, visit darenc.com/COVID testing or call our COVID-19 call center. As I mentioned earlier in my comments, it's open Monday through Friday from 8:30 in the morning till 5 p.m. That number is 252-475-5008. Now let me share some information on communication and information sharing. Dare County DHS has established a schedule of communications to share regarding COVID-19. On Tuesday, DHS releases a written update and video update, which includes an overview of the previous week's COVID-19 key metrics and issues. And on Fridays, a written update is issued. All released videos and written updates can be found on our website that I just shared with you. DHH Facebook page, Dare County Twitter page, and Dare County Emergency Management Twitter page. If you'd like to receive these updates directly to your email, just please sign up to receive our e-notifications on the website. New positive cases are updated on our dashboard, on our website, and shared with Health and Human Services Facebook page again when we receive them. To find the most up-to-date information on COVID-19 cases, Dare County, visit, once again, darenc.com/COVID-19. The state, you can go, and that is available also at covid19.ncdhhs.gov/dashboard. That's the state information. Once again, our board encourages you to stay informed by visiting our DARE website or the state's website. If you have specific needs or questions, once again, you can certainly call our Dare County COVID-19 call center at the 252-475-5008 phone number. Folks, throughout this pandemic, we've been closely watching the percent of cases linked to community spread, as we believe that would be our biggest threat for us to address. However, we have recently come to realize that our greatest threat is the silent spreading that is occurring between direct contact. And just this afternoon, prior to me coming over here, I had to stop by the post office. I pulled into my slot. There was a car next to me. There are 4 people outside of the car within arm's distance, no mask, having a just good old conversation. I put my mask on, I get out of my car, I go in, I mail my mail, I come back, I get back in my vehicle. They're still out there talking. There's some responsibility, folks, on your part. I know some of you are going to argue, well, I don't need to wear a mask, I don't need to do this, I don't need to do that. But the simple fact remains, the 3 W's are working. They are working. The rise in cases in Dare County is not linked to the grocery store or the gas station. Our Health and Human Services Department has found that the increase in cases, after talking with the folks, is occurring in more common places where people are gathering and not wearing a mask or social distancing. Now, it's kind of hard for me to understand what's the difficulty in wearing a mask and social distancing and practicing good hand washing. I don't understand this. The rise in cases is linked to friends, to family members, to coworkers, and neighbors gathering with one another in social settings, such as backyards, driveways, living rooms, in churches, in youth groups, in break rooms, at a sleepover, at the post office this afternoon, in the parking lot. In general, people are overly comfortable and casual in these settings, and I understand that. We must stop and think about gathering in these types of settings if we want to try to slow the spread of this virus. It's worth the risk, folks, to wear the mask, social distance, and wash your hands. Now, I know everybody feels safe and secure around those who you're close with, but we cannot stress enough that your decision to wear a mask and physical distance can't be based on how well you know, like, or trust someone. It needs to be about how much you care about them and how important it is to keep yourself and them safe. Please understand, my messaging this evening is not any part to shame anyone who chooses to get together with friends or family. We all know human interaction is certainly necessary and it's therapeutic. We're all experiencing COVID-19 fatigue, but the fact remains that the virus has shown us that when we let our guard down, it can surge back at a record-breaking speed. So tonight, I'm making a plea on behalf of the Dare County Board of Commissioners for everyone to mask up if you will be with others. Mask, if worn properly, over the mouth and nose, and worn in conjunction with practicing physical distancing and good hand hygiene, can reduce the spread of this virus. Please know that we know people are not intentionally exposing their friends and neighbors and family members to COVID-19, but unfortunately, it is happening and happening at a growing rate. Unknowingly, friends, family members, co-workers, and children are exposing others while they are pre-symptomatic, meaning that they have the virus and are hanging out with others in the days right before they start developing the symptoms. Then within a day or two, hanging out, they start feeling sick. And by then, they have already exposed their friends and family members. Wearing a mask, staying 6 feet apart, in these settings can break the chain of the transmission. There's no magic solution to this outbreak. The solution rests in hard work and self-discipline. We want the spread of this virus to slow down. We want our community to be healthy and well. We want the days of 18 and 24 new cases to stop, to drop. We cannot will the virus away. We need your help to protect yourself and others. We're pleading with the citizens of Dare County to take action now, to get behind the mask, and encourage your friends and family to certainly do the same. Folks, we can do this. We can reduce the spread of the virus. We can get on the other side of this pandemic. Once again, we understand the fatigue and the frustration that COVID-19 brings. But we also recognize that if we don't stay vigilant and practice the 3 W's and keep our guard up, the number of cases and sick individuals is going to get much worse in the months ahead. Please, now, more than ever, follow the 3 W's. Let's work together to protect one another. God bless, and please be safe. Thank you. County Manager.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Item 2 on the agenda is the public comment, and so we'll wait just a minute to see if we get any public comments by email.
Everyone had a chance?
Yeah, there's none in there.
County Manager?
Yes, sir. That brings us to item 3 on the agenda. This is a public hearing with regard to the extension of the temporary measures for the restaurants and mobile food units. As you recall, at the beginning of COVID, we extended some courtesies to our restaurants and mobile food units to try to allow them to maintain their businesses while at the same time do the things that the COVID protocols required. And these were to expire in December, Donna?
Yes, sir. December, yes.
Expire at the end of the year. And so what we're asking is, rather than having to continually come back, is that we extend these for another year. And so we have to have a public hearing before you all act on that. And so we'd call that public hearing to order, and if anyone has public comment, please let us know, send us an email, and we'll wait just a minute to see if we get any emails on that as well.
Okay. We ready?
Yes, sir, if you are. So you have before you the request for that extension. You can extend it to December, as was the initial request. If we think with the vaccine that we only need to do it to July, then you can pick a date, but we chose December just to get it out there and let people plan.
Okay. Does the board have any questions concerning this?
I'll move to extend the temporary measures for restaurants and mobile food units until December 31st, 2021.
Okay,
I'll second it.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor by...
Second.
There's a motion on the floor by Commissioner House, and it's also been seconded by Commissioner Tobin and Bateman. Any further discussion? Hearing none, then on that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. County Manager.
Thank you. Item 4 on the agenda is a request to amend the Black Dog Harbor conditional use permit, and I'll turn this over to Donna.
Good evening, Donna.
Good evening.
This is a conditional use permit, and it's subject to quasi-judicial proceedings, and so I have been sworn in before the meeting, and the applicant, Mr. Philip Zach, is back here, and he has also been sworn in. Typically, we do that during the meeting, but we went ahead and took care of that before the meeting started. This is a request to amend the conditional use permit for Black Dog Harbor, which is a residential group housing development in Salvo. The original permit for this was approved in 2004, and at that time it was a different group of developers than the ones that own it now. It was called Aaron Hill Harbor, and it was sold sometime in 2014 thereabout, and they changed the name to Black Dog Harbor. As part of that development there's a little boat basin that has 10 boat slips in it. And at the time the original CUP was approved, there was 2 conditions in there that were the subject of the request tonight. One, number 6 said no commercial activities shall take place on the site. And condition number 7 was that the boat ramp and the boat slips would be used exclusively for the property owners and the guests of the development. Since that time, the developer has changed hands, and the current owner, Mr. Philip Zach, and the Homeowners Association is seeking to amend the conditional use permit to allow the use of 2 of those boat slips for a charter boat company to take out fishing tours and sunset cruises and type of charter activities. And the other request to amend that one condition is just to add a clarification where the original condition said property owners and guests. He was asking that it be clarified so that it's guest, residents, and some other language in there so that it's a little bit broader in its scope. The property is zoned S1, as is all of Rodanthe Waves and Salvo, and S1 is our most flexible district. It allows all uses. If the marina was there in and of itself and he came in, we would approve the use of the marina as a commercial marina with no hesitancy whatsoever. There is the hours of operation that they are requesting is that they start no earlier than 6 a.m. That has been written into the draft CUP. There is parking on the site that will be used by the charter boat captain and the guest. The specific hours of operation are from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. You'll see the exact verbiage of condition number 6 and number 7 is there in the staff report. The planning board did review this at their meeting in October and voted unanimously to recommend the changes to the CUP. The Homeowners Association, as part of the conditional use permit review, we received several letters of support from the other Homeowners Association members. And I'm going to stop right there, and Mr. Philip Zach is here. If he has any questions for him or for me, I'll be glad to answer them.
Donna, has the applicant agreed to the recommendations by the planning board of 6 and 7?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Him up here.
And
Yeah.
I've told him to expect to come up to the
Yeah.
microphone and be asked those questions.
Thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
County Manager.
Yeah, are you okay with the facts and consent to the facts as Donna presented them?
Yes, I am.
All right, and are you, she's presented the file on this matter to the board as evidence. Do you consent to the offering of that evidence as well?
Yes, I do.
And you've seen the conditions that are proposed, and do you consent to those as well?
I do.
Okay, thank you, County Manager. Does anybody have any questions? Commissioner Bateman?
Just want to ask this one question. You know, we all know charter boat guys, they're there at 4:30 in the morning. They're suited up, ready to go by 5:15. Why are we saying 6? Why don't we give them when they're normally really going to be out there, which is 5 o'clock in the morning?
I'll answer that question, but he is the one that said 6 o'clock.
Yeah,
Okay,
maybe
we
I
can get
should
what you
start
want.
that first. These are soundside charters, not
Okay.
offshore charters, and so they, from our experience, do start a little bit later. And we thought that was a better ask of both the planning board and this board of commissioners to start at 6 a.m. rather than earlier.
I'm just throwing it out there to you.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, I kind of had the same question because, it just says, chartered trips. It doesn't specify.
It does.
Sound side charters or offshore charters. So what would
Correct.
stop a offshore charter boat from coming in there?
The water depth.
Okay.
We don't have the water depth just outside of the
That
harbor.
would be a good factor.
It gets pretty skinny just outside the
I
harbor.
was getting ready to
so
say, plus it'd take a heck of a lot of time getting to the inlet.
it would take a long time to get up to Oregon Inlet or down to Hatteras
Right.
Inlet, so it's just not practical to go
Gotcha.
offshore from there.
I just didn't want you to get in trouble.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure we had that clarified, that's all.
Appreciate that.
Good deal. Anyone else?
Mr. Flipsack, just in that same regard, on Soundside Fishing, they do go out there sometimes when light breaks. And in the summertime, obviously, it gets light before 6 o'clock. Would it make any sense? Is this for the residents of the, more for the residents of the units or what?
It would be open to the wider community, and so we wanted not to start too early. Certainly residents of the HOA may use this service as well, but it's a small HOA. There's only 12 houses planned for in there eventually.
Gotcha. So I guess what I'm getting at is would it make any sense to have sunrise rather than than a hard, fast 6 a.m.? And that's up to you. I don't,
Well,
it doesn't matter to me. Not gonna wake me up.
6 a.m. went through the planning board. It was at his request, but part of that request was from some, I'll say, difficulties we had previously on that site with duck hunters being there at 4 in the morning and that kind of thing. And so this was an opportunity to solve some of those problems. He chose the time that fit. It solved some of the negative public comment that they got. And so that was why this time was picked.
Makes sense.
Mr. Flipsack's happy with that. I am too.
I am, and I appreciate all the comments, but we asked specifically for 6 a.m. to try to alleviate the concerns of the neighbors.
All right, and I guess if that creates a problem, perhaps he maybe could come back at a later date and ask for an earlier time, I would presume, if, if that presented a real major problem for you.
Okay.
It's a gorgeous little setting in there. It's old water oaks, beautiful, beautiful little area.
Gotcha.
Great sunsets.
Good deal. Anyone else? Then the pleasure of the board.
To that end, Mr. Chairman, I'll move that the conditional use permit amendment for the Black Dog Harbor Group development be approved to revise conditions 6 and 7 as recommended by the Dare County Planning Board. That's my motion.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Couch, for that nomination, that motion, and it's been seconded by the Vice Chair. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you for being here.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, item 5 on the agenda is a presentation by Garage Band Charities, Inc. Michael Tillett, Terry Gray, and others are here for that presentation. And Michael, I'll turn it over to you to start.
Welcome this evening, Mr. Tillett. Good to see you.
Good to see you also. Thank you for having us here, and it's our pleasure to be here. We wanted to, first of all, thank the County of Dare for helping us with this great event that's going to help a lot of people. And I just wanted to let you guys know that this is just an awesome event, and each year it's going to grow and grow. And I just want to thank everybody for their support with this event. And now I want to introduce Mr. Richard Quigley and Sarah Hull. Come up, and we're going to do some check presentations to our 2 charities. Come on through.
Thank you, Michael.
Richard, good to see you.
Good to see you. Good to see all the commissioners and some old schoolmates.
Aye.
Again, as Michael said, we would like to thank the commissioners and the county and everybody in the county, not just the government, but all the support that we've gotten from each of the municipalities. We've seen a lot of support, and Sheriff's Department, the police departments, we've seen a lot of tolerance because it was a noisy event, but it was a fun event. And everybody that came felt very welcome. And that's what it's about, is promoting the Outer Banks and supporting the Outer Banks at the same time. So Miss Sarah handles all of our registrations. So if they came to the show, they went across her desk. She's the girl behind the scenes that really makes things happen. And we work good as a team. And Michael, of course, he's our mouthpiece. I get to talk once in a while and do some videos on Facebook, but Michael's out there pumping it up. And we were talking earlier in the parking lot with Mr. Gray, and we said, you know, OBX is not just an event, it's a destination. Mm-hmm. And we're going to coin that for this year. That's going to be our little motto for this year. So we hope that 2021 comes back around again. We had a lot of challenges to overcome with COVID. As you know, we didn't have the event site, so we had to spread it out over 17 different locations to keep the numbers down. And everybody was behind us, and it really worked out well. So at this time, we'd like to present a check. Did you like to?
I'm good.
Okay.
You covered everything.
Like I say, behind the scenes, and we appreciate it. We'd like to call Carla up from the Dare County Children and Youth Partnership, and I'd like to take this opportunity to present to you from Garage Band Charities a check in the amount of, and we had to do something to get 2020 out there, $10,020.20.
All right.
All right.
Welcome very much, and we appreciate everything that you do for our community, and we will continue to support you as long as we can keep the wheels rolling on this bus.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. We'll put it right to you.
Next, we would like to have Mr. Terry Gray. We'll have a pair of Terrys. Terry Gray.
Pair of Terrys.
And Terry Broxley. And on behalf of Garage Band Charities, sir, we would like to present you with a check for $10,020.20.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Because we were very concerned about this year. We had to cancel a couple of our fundraising events, and this puts us where we need to be.
We knew that the public needed a little morale booster. The chorus bumped everybody up, but we knew more than anything our charities needed support.
Thank you so much for that, and it's more than just this. There's so much revenue that comes into the county from your event. The restaurants, the motels, there were about 6 or 7 motels that were booked up, and my God, y'all just do a fantastic job. Thank you so much.
You're certainly welcome, sir. And as they say on the infomercials, but wait, there's more. We have one other person that we wanted to recognize for having helped us so much. And like I said, without the event site, we were kind of strapped for having places to go. And Mr. Brian Mervine was very instrumental in stepping up and helping us by letting us use his site. So on behalf of Vertigo Tattoo, we would like to give you an additional $1,020.20 to go towards the kids for toys.
I can't say anymore. You hold that one. I'll give you the little one.
Okay, here we go. Great, thank you.
Thank you so much. Good deal. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you again, Commissioners.
Incredible, incredible work. Thank you,
Richard.
Thanks for all your good work.
Yeah. Richard, I understand there's an upcoming event on December 5th that will end up at your place of business. Would you care to elaborate on that a little bit?
Yep, Cat 5 Jeepers is doing a toy parade. They're going to be starting off at Walmart. The timing escapes me. It is on our Facebook page, but they'll be running from Walmart to the gift garden and dropping off toys for the kids for the Dare County Toy Run.
Good deal.
Are we going down the beach road?
I don't know what their route is.
Okay. Yeah, the route will be down the beach road.
I would suspect they'd either be down the beach road or over on the beach.
If it ain't too cold, I'll be there. I'll be there. I'll be riding.
It's never too cold to ride.
You're right. You're right, Richard. You're right.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Get yourself a hot rod, you can turn the heat on.
Well, that engine between your legs puts some pretty good heat out too, doesn't it, Richard?
Mr. Chairman, item 6 on the agenda is a proclamation for Alzheimer's Disease Awareness Month, and with your permission, I'll read that proclamation.
Yes, sir.
Whereas Alzheimer's is a devastating disease that affects more than 5.8 million people and their families in the United States, this number is expected to reach 13.8 million by 2050. And whereas Alzheimer's disease involves parts of the brain that control thought, memory, and language, deterioration of these functions can impair judgment and reasoning, affect behavior and emotions, and impede the ability to complete daily activities of living. And whereas there's no cure for Alzheimer's disease, and Alzheimer's disease is the most common form of dementia and is the 6th leading cause of death. And whereas more than 180,000 people in North Carolina are affected by all forms of dementia, and this number is expected to increase to more than 210,000 in the year 2025. And whereas the Outer Banks Dementia Friendly Coalition is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, the coalition uses all funds raised to provide services, education, and support to those living with the dementia in Dare County and their caregivers. Whereas the citizens of Dare County can support members of our community affected by Alzheimer's disease and their families by advocating for educational programs, improving support services, and designate Dare County as dementia friendly. Now, therefore, the Dare County Board of Commissioners does hereby proclaim November 2020 as Alzheimer's Disease Awareness Month in Dare County and commend its observance to all citizens this the 16th day of November 2020.
Move to approve.
There's a motion on the floor by the Vice Chair to approve the proclamation of Alzheimer's Disease Awareness Month, and it's been seconded by Commissioner House. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Item 7 is a proclamation for Family Caregivers Month, and with your permission, I'll read that proclamation as well.
Yes, sir.
Whereas each day parents and children, siblings and spouses, friends and neighbors give themselves to support those in their lives affected by illness, injury, or disability. And whereas most family caregivers work outside the home, either part-time or full-time, in addition to their caregiving responsibilities. And whereas in 2019 there were approximately 479,000 caregivers in North Carolina, which contributed 545 million hours of unpaid care. And whereas National Family Caregivers Month provides resources for self-care, advocacy, and de-stressing for our caregivers. Whereas caregiving can often have significant impact on the life of the caregiver and make maintaining the caregiver's physical and mental health more difficult and put a strain on work and social life. And whereas celebrating National Family Caregivers Month enables us all to raise awareness of family caregiver issues, celebrate the efforts of family caregivers, educate family caregivers about self-identification, and increase support for family caregivers. And whereas the Outer Banks Dementia Friendly Coalition is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, the coalition uses funds raised to provide services, education, and support to those caregivers in Dare County. Now, therefore, the Dare County Board of Commissioners does hereby proclaim November 2020 as Family Caregivers Month in Dare County and commend its observance to all citizens this the 16th day of November 2020.
Move to approve.
There's a motion on the floor by Commissioner House to approve November 2020 as Family Caregivers Month. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Commissioner Tobin. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those favors signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Chairman, item 8 is a request by staff for a mini Brooks Act exemption for architectural services for affordable housing projects. Under the statutes, to hire an architect, you have to first send out an RFQ, and then when you get all the RFQs responded to, then you can go through them and pick an architect, which is a somewhat time-consuming process, but it is required. Dave, what's the dollar threshold?
50.
However, if the architectural services are going to cost you less than $50,000, there's a mini Brooks Act exemption that will allow you, if you so desire, to exempt that RFQ process and allow you to go to the market and pick whatever architect you choose without the necessity of going through the RFQ process. And so that's what this request is for, is to allow us to go choose an architect to work on affordable housing projects if we need one as we move forward with the various projects that we've been discussing.
Will you present the resolution as presented? Can you read it?
I can't. I got to get to it.
Clerk has a copy
Okay.
for you.
Whereas North Carolina General Statutes 143-64.31, often referred to as the Mini Brooks Act, requires the initial solicitation and evaluation of firms to perform architectural, engineering, surveying, construction management, risk services, and design build services, collectively design services, to be based on qualifications without regard to fee. And whereas Dare County proposes to enter into one or more contracts for engineering and surveying services in conjunction with the Development Finance Initiative to aid in the design of essential housing within Dare County. And whereas North Carolina General Statute 143-64.32 authorizes units of local government to exempt contracts for design services from qualifications-based selection requirements of the North Carolina General Statutes 143-64.31, if the estimated fee for any such service is less than $50. Now therefore be it resolved by the Dare County Board of Commissioners that the above described project is hereby made exempt from the provisions of NCGS 143-64.31, this the 16th day of November 2020.
Move to adopt.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor by Commissioner House to adopt the resolution authorizing the Dare County Board of Commissioners to exempt the county from the Mini Brooks Act, and it's been seconded by Commissioner Bateman. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Items, let's see, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Dave Clausen will handle those.
We'll overwork you tonight, Dave.
What else is new, right?
Okay.
We do it during the day.
He's speechless. No, I just sat through 7 hours of debt software training.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay. This is time to wake up. So item number 9, I mentioned last meeting that Manteo High School, that the school system had taken bids for the Manteo High School roof replacement. So what we're asking you is to approve the amount of the total project at $1,012,500. Their estimate had been $1 million. I'm working on some line item adjustments for the animal shelter and health and human services. So I'm going to bring them all back to you in one package. And if it's okay, when I do that, I'll bring this back to change the budget from $1 million to $1,012,500. So yeah, just all I'm asking is to approve the new project amount.
Oh, okay.
Motion to approve.
There's a motion then on the floor by Commissioner Bateman to approve the new contract amount. Is there a second? Seconded by the Vice Chairman Overman. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Okay. In previous meetings, item number 10, the county managers talked to you and had you approve selling a triangle parcel at the COA site to the adjoining property owner. We did some research and turns out that that triangle is included in the deed of trust for 3 different debt issues, the 2012D, 2012C, and 2020A. So we contacted bond counsel, and bond counsel's drawn up a resolution for the board to adopt. It's also drawn up a partial release of the deed of trust, and he's drawn up a certificate that we have to sign, or the county manager has to sign, and we send that all to the bond trustee, which is Bank of New York Mellon, for them to approve. And I've talked with them, and there's no reason for them not to approve it. The outstanding debt on the parcel is right at $32 million, and the tax value of the property is almost $48 million, and we're releasing $15,000 worth of value. So they've told us that they will approve it, but in order to do so, I need the board to adopt the resolution which will authorize the county manager to sign that certificate.
Okay, so that resolution is for the DARE requesting the release of certain premises related to that limited obligation bond, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Any, is there a motion?
Move to adopt the resolution.
Okay.
Second it.
Okay, there's a motion then on the floor by the Vice Chairman Overman to approve that resolution, and it's been seconded by Commissioner Tobin and House. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Okay. Item number 11 is another resolution, and this is the step, we call this the initial resolution. It's the first step of issuing the limited obligation bonds that will finance the College of the Albemarle, the Health and Human Services, the Animal Shelter projects, this Manteo High School roof replacement that you just approved, 2 property acquisitions that we've previously done, and we included some EMS equipment that was in last year's capital improvements plan. The resolution uses a not-to-exceed amount of $34,250,000, which means no matter what happens in the structure of the debt, we can't go over that. And that will not happen, but underwriters are very worrisome, and they price in certain things, like they've included an extra $300,000 in cost of issuance in case we had to buy bond ratings insurance, which we will not have to do. And right now, what's happening in the market is you sell with original issue premium, so that the par amount of your bonds is less. You're selling at a higher price. Right now, the average sale price is up around 115 to 120% of the amount of the debt, which means you can borrow less. But this assumes the opposite in case the market changed, which it won't. But at any point, that's our not to exceed amount, and there is a set of numbers in there, and those numbers are only for that not to exceed purpose. The LGC application will be filed. It's got to be filed by December 1st. I think I'll send that off this week. It will be on the LGC meeting agenda for approval on January the 5th. So attached to the item included in your package is the actual resolution. I included the project summary of all the listing of the projects and the amount, and as I mentioned, the debt service numbers run. The resolution states it's in the best interest of the county to enter into the financing contract, and that we will be pledging the Health and Human Services facility under the deed of trust. That was originally financed in 1998, and we paid that debt issue off in 2018. The projects are essential to the county, and we can finance them at a favorable interest rate, the not to exceed amount. We're going to be using limited obligation bonds for the financing vehicle. There's no property tax increase necessary to finance the projects. The county's taxing power is not pledged for the payment. These aren't general obligation bonds. The county's not in default of any of its debt. Our budget process has been in compliance with the Local Government Budget and Fiscal Control Act. Per past audit reports, we've been in compliance, and we have not been censured by the Local Government Commission. We will hold a public hearing on the financing on December the 7th. Then you're authorizing me to proceed with the contract, to file the application, and that we will retain Parker Poe, Adams, and Bernstein as bond counsel, DEC and Associates as financial advisor, Piper Scott and Company as underwriter, and the Bank of New York Mellon as trustee. The Local Government Commission's probably going to require us to also have a co-underwriter, which we'll recommend to be PNC. We will, and also the resolution is setting the public hearing for December 7th, 2020, and it's on the contract, the deed of trust, and the projects. We'll have the final resolution back to the board on December 21st. We also going to have a meeting of the Dare County Public Facilities Corporation, which is the nonprofit that access that's required by the financing statute. So that's Sally, the Assistant Finance Director, and Commissioners Woodard and Overman. And also what you'll see, and it'll be new to all of you except for Commissioner Overman and Woodard, we have to create an offering statement since it's a public sale, and it'll include the county's audit, but also includes a large section of information on the county that it's for buyers, potential buyers of the bonds. And we'll be giving those drafts to you as well. So our request is to adopt the resolution, which makes all the findings and sets the public hearing for December 7th at 9:30 a.m.
Okay, any questions today before we entertain a motion?
I move to approve the resolution as written.
Second.
All right, it's been, motion's been made by Commissioner Tobin. It's been seconded by Commissioner House. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Okay. My last item is we were approached by the Saving Lives Task Force, which has gone and gotten their own 501(c) nonprofit status, but they don't have a staff. They don't have, even I think, Commissioner, I don't think they have a bank account. No. Is that correct? Okay. So this is just an accounting services agreement. It is exactly the same thing the county does with the Airport Authority, the Wanchese Community Center, and the Stumpy Point Community Center, which says we'll handle everything, but you've got to follow all our policies and procedures. And with the volume of transactions we do, we won't. It won't have any effect upon the department. So we're asking for you to approve us to execute that agreement.
Motion to approve.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor by Commissioner Bateman. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Couch and the Vice Chairman Overman. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you, Dave. We're going to take a 5-minute break real quick. We'll call the Dare County Board of Commissioners meeting back to order and turn it over to the county manager.
Mr. Chairman, item 13 is the College of the Albemarle naming opportunities. For a while, we've been talking with the College of the Albemarle Foundation about naming opportunities for various spaces in our new building, and an opportunity for the foundation to raise some money to help outfit the building, and to also, if they had raised enough money, to continue to benefit the COA Dare campus in the future. Before you, you have a scale for that and some sales prices, if you will, that Amy Alcacer with the foundation would then go out and market if you're okay with those numbers. I was asked by maybe all of you, but by a number of you, how did we come up with those numbers? Did we pick them out of the sky? Did they make them up? Where did they come from? So I talked to Amy at some length about that, and there's a committee at COA. it's let's see, what do they call the committee? Their resources committee, and there's a gentleman that sits on that named David Shufflebarger, who lives here in Dare County, but he sits on that committee. He's a professional fundraising consultant for a firm called Alexander Haas, Inc. out of Atlanta, Georgia. And he's been doing that for about 25 years. I went online and looked up Alexander Haas, and I've got 7 or 8 pages here of clients that Alexander Haas represents. This represents over 500 clients nationwide. They've represented every kind of fundraiser you can think of, from churches to schools to hospitals to museums to theaters to operas to colleges to community foundations, the arts, you name it. They've done it, large and small. I'll run through some of these real fast. They've done it for Antioch University, Arkansas State, Arkansas Tech, Auburn, the Boy Scouts, Butler University. Let's see, Clemson University, Coastal Carolina, Columbus State, Eastern Kentucky, Emory University School of Law, Florida Atlantic, Florida State. It goes on. I won't read them all, but there's, again, 8 pages of that. If I read them all, you would know a lot of them. And that's what they do for a living. And so we got the benefit of this national fundraising organization that goes out and sets up naming campaigns and other fundraising opportunities for colleges and universities and other nonprofits throughout the country. And this gentleman, being a member of that committee, gave us that insight and gave us that direction and helped them come up with those numbers. So those numbers aren't numbers that were picked out of the sky or made up or just random numbers. They are based on what had been recommended to us by the COA Foundation, but as well as the work of that committee and with Mr. Shallowbag, who's an expert in that field. So I think we can have some comfort that they're pretty good numbers. So with that, you all would need to approve that. If you approve that schedule of values on that, then I can go back to Amy in the morning and she can start trying to sell those spaces and raise some money to outfit the college.
All right, anyone have any questions about?
I do. Are these?
Go ahead, Jim.
Are these, do they go through as charitable contributions?
I think they do,
Yes.
They do? Okay.
Yeah.
I had somebody ask me that.
Yeah.
So I mentioned it and they were like, huh, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
They weren't doing the amphitheater, were they? I was kind of hoping that.
Well, also Alexander Haas at one time was Alexander Haas and Martin. They were instrumental in getting the Graveyard Atlantic Museum going in 2004. I'm surprised it didn't make it on the resume.
It's on the list. I just didn't get to the G's.
No, that was on page 8.
But it is on the list. I highlighted it.
Yeah, they wouldn't be there without them. They're legit.
Move to approve.
All right, thank you.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Vice Chairman Overman. The Vice Chairman has moved to approve the naming opportunities for the new Dare COA campus for outfitting of the new project, and it's been seconded by Commissioner Tobin. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, item 14 is with the Manteo Shallowbag dredging project. As you know, this isn't a project that we initiated. This was initiated, I think, by the town and by Festival Park early on. We volunteered, if you will, to manage the project at some point because we had some expertise there that they didn't have. We have a Brent, they don't have a Brent, and so we were able to do some things to help them out. And so we've been managing the project, but it's really not our initiative. That project is funded by direct appropriation from the state. It's not through the shallow draft fund or any of that. And the state appropriated about $1.9 million to do that. But in the legislation that appropriated the money, they only appropriated funds for reaches 1 through 4. And there's a reach 5 that you have to go through to get out. And under the permitting requirements, you can only dredge to the depth of the most restrictive reach. And so reach 5 needed to be dredged as well to make reaches 1 through 4 permittable. And so there was no money available for reach 5. So Brent went to the shallow draft fund. They're prepared to fund that on a match. And we then went and talked to the town, and the town's putting in $42,596 as their match, which then that, along with the shallow draft fund, provides enough money to do reach 5 and allows us to do the complete project at a 50-foot width. There's not enough money to do. I think the permit would allow up to 100 feet, but the funds would only take us to 50 feet. So with that funding, they're doing a 50-foot channel of all 5 reaches. What's being asked of you tonight, since we're managing the project, we have to enter that contract. You're entering the contract. If you approve the contract, that would allow them to start the dredging, and you're also going to need to approve the grant application. We're kind of doing this ahead of the game. We don't have the money in our account yet from the grant, and it'll take maybe 90 days to get that, and we don't have 90 days that we can wait to start, or else they can't finish within the dredge window that they have. So Brent assures me and the state assures me that there's no reason why we wouldn't get the grant, but nonetheless, if for whatever reason we didn't get it, then we'd be on the hook you know, for the difference, for that, what, $90,000 or so difference? $116,000 difference. So I tell you that.
So we're going to garnish.
Just so there's no surprises.
There goes the amphitheater.
That's right.
Yeah. Again, the risk of that's very slim and very minimal.
Brent's
but
wages for the next.
I think
The shallow draft fund, right?
Yeah.
You'll get it.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've never not got it, and they got more money than they've been able to spend. So, but I didn't want to come back to you in 6 months and say, oh, oops, by the way, this happened. I wanted you to know up front that I suppose is a possibility, whether it's remote or not. And so with that, I would need you to, one, approve the grant, and two, approve the contract that's in your packet.
So moved.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor by the vice chairman to approve. It's been seconded by Commissioner House. Any further discussion?
I'm just glad to see some action. We've been talking about this on the
We
Waterways
have.
Commission for over a year.
We have, Danny. You're right.
Bring it.
Yeah. All right, without any further questions, those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, I didn't bring Brent up here, but I'll just tell you, he's done a yeoman's task putting this together, from acquiring an easement that we needed to get over somebody's property to remove the dredge, to finding spoil sites that we didn't have when we started and didn't know whether we were going to get them. And then he's maneuvered through the financial side and found a way to get the money and work through that. So I can't say enough good things about the good work that Brent's done on this project. It's much appreciated. Thanks, Brent.
Bobby, in that regard, where are the spoil sites?
The spoil site's going to be at the landfill.
Landfill.
We're going to use it for top cover. They're going to put it in our pit, and we're going to take it back out as we need it.
Gotcha.
Thank you, Brent.
Thank you, Brent.
Good work, Brent. I was scared he was going to call you up here and talk about garnishing your wages for the next 30 years if we didn't get the grant.
Bobby's wages.
Do what?
Bobby's wages.
Yeah, Bobby's wages.
We can get it back in a shorter period of time.
Let's move on to item 15. Item 15 is the consent agenda. And the consent agenda is the approval of the minutes, the Health and Human Services, Public Health, additional immunization funding, the tax collector's report, and the professional consulting services agreement with Maximus U.S. Services, Inc.
Move to approve.
There's a motion on the floor by Commissioner House.
Second.
To present the consent agenda as presented, and it's been seconded by Commissioner Bateman. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
That'd be your agenda, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, County Manager. That brings us to item 16, Commissioner's business and Manager's business. And Commissioner Bateman, do you mind kicking that off this evening?
Be glad to. I'd just like to offer congratulations to all the candidates that put themselves on the line and ran for office, successful or not. It takes a lot to put yourself out there and wear your personality on your sleeve and open yourself up to criticism and everything that goes along with it. So I'd just like to thank everybody for doing that. That's all I got.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. Vice Chairman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just like to say, Bob, that that was a good job you did on the COVID-19 comments that you made at the beginning of the meeting tonight. I think if you go back and look at our board meetings, certainly in the area of March of this year, the words personal responsibility were mentioned a number of times. And at that point in time, we were new to the virus. The virus was new to us. Dare County was, as a result of probably of the shutdown, was doing a great job through those months. Our numbers were very, very low. People seemed to be paying attention to what was going on. But the personal responsibility part of any discussion we had was an important part of that discussion and is an important part of the discussion today. And thank you for those reminders. I hope folks listen to that and will be vigilant in what they do. We're certainly seeing spikes that we need to avoid. But really appreciate bringing that to light. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Vice Chairman. I appreciate it. Commissioner Tobin?
Well, I've had a busy couple of weeks. This past week, Danny and I attended the North Carolina Beach Inlet Waterways Association meeting down in Wilmington. The meeting was a two-day meeting, and it was very well attended. There's actually about 80 people at the meeting in person. Plus, I think it got up to around 70 people or so online.
Wow.
Yeah, it was very well attended. Most of the topics were beach nourishment, and I gave a presentation along with EJE and Jensen Maritime about where our dredging project stands, and that went pretty well. One of the very interesting presenters was a guy named Jesse McNinich. I hope I said his last name right. Jesse works at the Duck Research Pier, and he's the fellow that put up the radar at the inlet that measured the wave height, and he could do the depth analysis off the wave height. His presentation was very interesting, and it made even more interesting because it coupled with Ken Wilson's presentation of the area off of basically where the Black Pelican is. And what they've discovered there, you know, that erode's totally different than the rest of the beach. And the material that's on the beach there is totally different. There's a lot of silt in the material on the sand, and there's also pebbles. Well, what they found is there's actually a Paleolithic glacial gorge underneath there, and there's remnants of an ancient river that flowed through there. And that gorge and river actually goes up the Albemarle Sound. That's why it's so different right there. And when Ken went out and did his mapping of the sand that's in the water, that area, I think, was 2,500 feet wide or something like that. The sand doesn't erode the same there. There's 3 fingers that stick out of sand. And the fingers move from the north to the south, and then when they get to the south, they just kind of dissipate when they get to the edge of the gorge, and then another one forms up to the north. Absolutely fascinating. It was really, really interesting. And that's that. This past Friday, I sat in on a conference call with Conrad Shipyard, Crowley Marine, and EJE, and also a company called Interline Marine, and they are the company that we're considering to do the dredge quality maintenance, dredge quality maintenance that actually calculates how much sand is being pumped and flows and everything. So that went really, really well. And I think the most exciting thing that came out of that meeting, though, was one of the gentlemen that was on the line from Conrad said that they had ordered the steel for the ship last Monday. So right. we're moving ahead. And also, while I was at the North Carolina Beach Inlet Waterways Association meeting, I got a text that our National Park Service permit is finalized and ready for Bobby to sign. So everything's moving in a good direction. It's moving along pretty good.
Fantastic.
And that's all I got.
Jim, does the contractor anticipate any delays in getting materials due to COVID for building the dredge?
No, they haven't mentioned that. The only delay that there's written things into the contract of what they can delay for. One of them is hurricanes, and they had 4 hurricanes. Yeah. They only delayed the project from one of them, and it's like 4 days that they added on to the end. But they haven't said anything about material shortage.
Super.
And they're really, 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 really close to ordering all the extra stuff. They're just waiting on getting the final layup of the project from the company that's up there in Maine.
Good deal. Any word on, is the dredge out of the shipyard trying to?
The dredge was down there today.
It was?
It was down there the day before yesterday, only for a half a day, and then it went back, and it did not go out the next day. So I don't know if they had an issue or something, but at noon or so today, it went back down there. So we'll see.
Gotcha.
Jim, the steel that was ordered for the dredge, is that steel from the United States?
I think so. I don't know.
Gotcha. We're just curious.
Good deal. Thank you for those,
Yep.
Thank you for those updates, Jim. I appreciate it. Commissioner Couch.
Yes, sir. Just to follow up what Jim was saying about Jesse McNish there, talking about the Ice Age runoff that was going through there. You know, when you look at Jockey's Ridge, which is that huge sand deposit, but also Run Hill, there where the apartments are, Run Hill, what's those four here? Kill Devil Hill, Run Hill, Ascension Hill, and there's another one in there. But those are relics too. Those are leftover relics. It's a big sand pit, just like Jim was saying. You had a massive Pleistocene era river running off of there. I mean, it was as wide as the Amazon at one time. And this guy Jesse there with the duck, it's Swift. It's like a GPS thing on there, and they're figuring all this stuff out. And as he says, we were riding around looking for something to do when we stumbled on this mapping of this ancient river channel there. So, but it was a really cool conference. You know, all you coastal engineer geeks and coastal engineer wannabes like myself find it thoroughly interesting. But it was, I'm glad we went. Dare County's very well represented in those things. It's just a shout out to the fact the way that we do things up here. We're very proactive in taking care of our needs from beach nurse, but they call it Coastal Storm Risk Management now, CSRM. It's a lot more friendlier. But I'm glad I went. And I won't keep us, but I did want to remark on the passing of Betsy Balance Midget yesterday. She was her and her husband, Wayne, both Manteo High School graduates. She's only 69. I don't know what what caused her early demise, but bless her heart, she was only 69. And she had roots in Hatteras, of course, with the Balance name. But also, you know, her mom was a native of Wanchese there. She was steady rolling. I mean, didn't suffer fools. You know, everything was black and white with her. I guess that was the Wanchese in her. It was either yes or no. There was no gray area in her. But she loved her family deeply, and that was where the Hatteras side came out in her. But big loss. And she's got 2 children that live up, one in Kitty Hawk and actually 2 in Kitty Hawk. So Betsy Balance Midget, that's a midget with an E. The story goes that there was a big family fight back in the day, and the census taker, the way that he settled the argument was he put an E on the end of midgets, and that's how the distinction between the midgets and the midgets. But that's, I hope everybody has a really big, enjoys their Thanksgiving. And again, I'll echo what the Vice Chairman said about just be mindful. We know what to do. Let's do it. We can't let something that is entirely manageable get in the way of all these family traditions and our loved ones. So wear your mask, wait, wash your hands a lot, and we'll be good. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Couch. Commissioner House.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On November 10th, there was a lawsuit filed in Wake County Superior Court citing the state of North Carolina's abject failure in meeting its legal duties to properly manage coastal fisheries resources on behalf of North Carolina's current and future citizens. The Coastal Conservation Association of North Carolina, along with 86 North Carolinians, filed a civil action on November 10th against the state in Wake County Superior Court. The plaintiffs includes 5 former members of the North Carolina Marine Fisheries Commission and citizens who reside in 29 counties across the state. The suit is based on the state's long-standing public trust responsibilities to manage coastal fish stocks in a way that protects the public trust rights of the public as incorporated in the North Carolina Constitution to fish in North Carolina coastal waters. The complaint points out that the coastal fisheries resources are held by the state in trust for the benefit of the current and future North Carolina citizens. So, like I said, that was just been filed on November 10th, so we're going to keep a close eye on that and see what's going to transpire with that. And I've briefly read through the lawsuit itself, and we'll be definitely diving into it a lot deeper and giving you a better update on it at a later date when this thing actually starts heading through the court system. On our day in history, Oklahoma was adopted into the United States as the 46th state in our union on this day. And since we are running into Thanksgiving, the event that Americans commonly call the first Thanksgiving was celebrated by the Pilgrims after their first harvest in New York, or in the New World, sorry, in October of 1621. This feast lasted for 3 days. Now, we try to cram it all into one day. They did it in 3 days. As recounted by attendee Edward Winslow, was attended by 90 Native Americans and 53 Pilgrims. The New England colonists were accustomed to regularly celebrating Thanksgiving Day of prayer and thanking God for blessings as a military victory or to the end of a drought. Thanksgiving has been celebrated nationally on and off since 1789 with a proclamation by President George Washington after a request from Congress. President Thomas Jefferson chose not to observe the holiday in its celebration and was intermittent until President Abraham Lincoln in 1863 proclaimed a national day of thanksgiving and praise for our benefits, our Father who dwelleth in heavens, to be celebrated on the last Thursday in November. On July 28, 1870, President Ulysses S. Grant signed into law the Holidays Act that made Thanksgiving a yearly appointed federal holiday in Washington, D.C. On January 6, 1885, the act by Congress made Thanksgiving an official federal holiday and a paid holiday for all federal workers throughout the United States. Under President Franklin D. Roosevelt, the date was changed between 1939 and 1941 amid significant controversy. From 1942 onwards, Thanksgiving, by an act of Congress signed into law by FDR, received a permanent observation date of the fourth Thursday in November, no longer at the discretion of the president. And that's our Thanksgiving history.
Did Roosevelt, was he the first to pardon the turkey?
I think so. I believe you are right on that. And there is also a myth that Benjamin Franklin wanted to make the turkey the national bird instead of the bald eagle. That is a myth. It was never been proven that he actually presented that to Congress or anything else.
I believe it's true.
I can't remember.
Think how many turkeys there'd be.
Exactly. I think Thanksgiving dinner would be a whole lot different if that would have transpired.
Been plenty of turkeys in D.C.
They'd be eating a bald turkey this time. I mean, a bald eagle.
And also, on an upscaled note, we have our Pet of the Week from the Outer Banks SPCA. If you're a hound lover, this is Flo.
Our pet of the week for this week is Flo. Flo is a beautifully colored hound mix that's also an incredibly healthy 9-year-old. Flo sings like an angel, loves other dogs, all humans, and cats too. She also walks perfectly on a leash. If you're a hound lover like we are, this lady is your match made in the Outer Banks. To adopt Flo or foster one of our other animals, you can come and visit us Monday through Saturday at our shelter located in Manteo. This Saturday, November 21st, you can find us at Shipwrecks, Tap House and Grill in Kitty Hawk for another adoption event. Come and have lunch with the cutest pups in town from noon until 3 that you can adopt on the spot. These adorable puppers will also be there to help you purchase a brick for our current fundraiser to help all their fur friends furnish their new home. They need all paws on deck to help make this big dream a reality. For more information, visit our website at www.obxspca.org or visit our OBX SPCA Facebook page.
As you can tell, Flo is just fun-loving, and I would hate to see her being in a shelter over Thanksgiving. So please go to the shelter and adopt Flo. give her a forever home for Thanksgiving. She will be very thankful as well. And also, just as a reminder, the Brick by Brick, Paw by Paw fundraiser for the new animal shelter will continue until January 4th. So please purchase a brick to help them outfit the SPCA. And with that, Mr. Chairman, and from my family to everybody in Dare County, happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Steve. The brick cost was what? Per
I'm
brick?
not sure.
It was
$100
$100.
brick.
And who do we make that out to?
Adams SPCA.
Pardon?
We're just starting to help promote that, so you'll see that on our website in the next day or so, and you can link to a form, and you actually tell them what you want engraved
All right.
on the brick, and you can pay online.
So will that be up this week, you think?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool.
We'll be linking directly to their site.
Oh, great. Thank you, Dorothy. Appreciate it. I just got a couple things else I'd like to add this evening. I'd like to give some kudos to Food for Thought. You know, locals certainly back in March were facing catastrophic decreases in employment, certainly due to COVID-19. And Food for Thought expanded their deliveries and doubled their outreach to families who had really never needed help in the past, but those that they were helping have doubled it during this time. And in the last 8 weeks of the academic year, when school buildings were closed and certainly distance learning was taking place, they delivered over 4,600 bags, which represents over 18,600 meals and 9,300 snacks. So they do incredible work in our community. And since the school year has begun, they're packing 500 meals a day each week. Keep in mind that it takes about $275 to feed a child for one full school year. But Food for Thought receives no government funding to purchase food. They have no paid staff. They rely on the community, and Dare County is probably one of the most giving communities throughout our entire state. So if you can, Food for Thought certainly can use your support, and every bit of that money goes directly to support these kids and providing children healthy meals for strong minds. So keep them in mind if you can during this holiday season, if you can do that. And certainly, last but not least, I too, my wife and I would certainly wish each and every one of you a happy Thanksgiving next week, and wish everyone a great week with limited family, and please be safe out there. Please be safe. God bless you. With that being said, County Manager, do you have anything else this evening?
Yes, sir. One thing. Several meetings ago, we approved the sale of a piece out on the point at Buxton Harbor. Since that time, as we were trying to consummate that, the buyer of that has come back to us and offered to buy the remaining part of that site, which is the piece out on the highway, the little square that's not buildable and that really we don't have a use for. He sent an appraisal with his offer. He'd offered $15,000. The appraisal supported that. I sent that over to Hosey in our tax appraisal office, asked him to review it. He thought that was too low. He thought that that parcel ought to be around $20,000, and that $40,000 for the whole piece, both parcels, is probably a more appropriate sales price. And so I bring that to you. You can't approve it today because we have to go through a process. But if you all are willing to move in that direction, then I'll go back to them and see if they're willing to do that. And assuming that they are, we'll then begin the process at the next meeting. I just need to know if that's something I should pursue or something I should leave sitting still.
Okay, is that the consensus of the board?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I looked at it when he was talking about the other one and was wondering why they weren't buying it.
I know, absolutely.
I don't hear any no's, so I'm gonna move forward with that. We'll bring it back at the appropriate times. There's multiple times you've got to act, and we'll do the resolutions and the things we've got to do to dispose of it, assuming they're willing to buy it as we move forward.
Okay.
Okay, that's all I have.
Thank you, County Manager. Public Information Officer, Ms. Hester, do you have anything for us this evening?
Yes, sir.
Dave, do you have anything else for us this evening?
Yes, sir, I'm sorry, I've got one thing that came up late last week. The COVID relief fund, that the CARES Act money through the state, the social services director contacted me, and we had done a budget for them of $60,000 to supplement their low-income energy assistance program. And as of today, they'd spent just over $28,000, and he's not sure that they'll be able to use all of that allocation. But late last week, I did talk to Interfaith Community Outreach, and they think they can use all of their 50 plus more. So if the board is okay with that, I would ask if you would approve, as we move closer to the December 30th deadline, if you'd approve the manager, if it's needed, to change the interfaith contract and change those two budgets so that we could maximize spending that money.
Move to approve.
Okay. Motion on the floor by the Vice Chairman Overman to approve, and it's been seconded by Commissioner House. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Anyone else from the board have anything this evening?
Thanksgiving.
Well, yep. Once again, folks, please be safe. Please be safe out there. I need a motion to adjourn until 9 a.m. on December the 7th, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor by Commissioner Tobin, and it's been seconded by Commissioner House. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
like sign. Motion carries. Unanimous. Thank you.